It came down to the last couple of minutes of muzzleloader season. We're gonna jump in the studio. I'm gonna tell you all about it. I only got 2 minutes of video left, but I got a nice 8-point here on the property. The biggest buck we had on this piece of property with my muzzleloader. Video is gonna come with the ATN binocs. Thanks for liking, subscribing. Stay tuned. You're gonna get the whole story on this muzzleloader buck on the last day of muzzleloader in South Carolina. First deer of the new season, and I'm going to call this one a second chance buck because it was on the last day, the last hour of South Carolina's muzzleloader season, and this is the buck that I missed in archery season. 2 videos ago, if you want to go back and check out a 48-yard shot with my crossbow, I had to needle the shot between 2 trees, one by my blind and one where the deer was in the early morning light. I had the ATN binocs out there that morning, got some footage. The arrow flight was great, but it's stuck in a tree out there and I didn't get this buck. I knew this buck would be back because of the pattern. He was in there a lot. I'm in a bedding area just outside of the city limits. You may be able to hear all the cars go by. It's right by a major highway. It's just in a nice ditch there. It funnels them in and they bed in the area. And I'm gonna tell you why that's good here in a second. But they bed in that area and they're in there throughout the day. So I'm heading back to that area on Columbus Day. Got a holiday off of work. I slide in there nice and early, and action is quick and all morning. So I'm sitting there, spike comes in, couple does come in, another spike comes in, flock of turkeys are around. A nice 6-point that comes in. I'm gonna try and get Ethan on that deer, but he's a nice 6-point. He'll make a nice buck in the future. He comes into that area and he feeds, but what you'll see is a little bit of video. He goes over there and he beds down. And this deer beds down right there for a while. A flock of turkeys come in and kind of get him up out of his bed, and I'm glad that they did. He shakes a little bit. I got some great footage of him. He goes up over the rise, and these deer will just leave that area, just go out of sight. They'll bed in a nice pine thicket right there. I was able to slide out of there. Now, the mistake I made on this day, and I've learned from this area, I looked at my app, and full moon, 100% that night. Look at the prime feeding times was 1 to 3:30 p.m. I'm just going over and I got to get my rifles, make sure they're all still sighted in and make sure they're hitting where I want to be. I sighted those in and I'm looking at my phone, and between 1 and 3:30 that 8-point slides into that area. He wasn't there in the morning, but he slid in there and he was in there about 35 minutes with a doe. I go back there about 3 o'clock and I actually slide into the blind and I see the doe still in the area. I don't see the buck. She goes up over the hill into that bedding area and I slide into that blind. My plan is to just sit in that blind and wait. Hopefully when they get up out of their bed, they come over, feed one more time, and they head over to where they feed during the night out in the fields. So I'm sitting there waiting. I don't know what's going to happen. It's getting from 3 o'clock till 7 o'clock I sat. It's getting down to the last moments where I'm looking through my scope. I don't have a great scope on my muzzleloader because we only hunt 10 days with it. But I'm looking through it just to make sure enough light. I don't want to spook anything on the way out, so I'm going to wait till it's completely dark. I'm down to that last couple checks of can I see through my scope. Binocs are on the tripod, but they're not on, and I'm waiting. I look up that last time, and here comes 2 deer. Turn on my binocs to do the recording. I'm off to the side on another tripod, looking through and making sure I can see the deer. I take a little bit of time and I get that binoc set straight up, pointing at the deer, and I do see a rack in the background. I don't know if it's that 6-point from the morning or if it's the 8-point that I'm targeting, which is really the biggest one I've got a picture of in this area. But he's been there a lot. Sit there for a while. I finally get back on the muzzleloader. The binocs are recording off to my left. I'm not even in control of them. And for some reason, that buck moves a little bit. I don't know if the doe did something. Moves right into that lane where I missed it with that crossbow at 48 yards. And I take the muzzleloader, bam, and I drop that deer right there in its tracks, right on that trail. So it's a great shot. This muzzleloader is probably the cheapest weapon that I have, with the cheapest scope that I have. And it is the most successful percentage-wise. I take very few shots with this. I get 10 extra days a year with my muzzleloader to hunt, and that's why I love it. But every time I shoot, man, this thing with those 50 caliber bullets puts those deer down, and I really like muzzleloader season because it gives me that opportunity to get that one more deer. So thanks for watching. If you'd like to subscribe, down below there's a button. If you want to check out some more South Carolina deer hunting, check out the videos to the side here, and stay tuned. We're going to get that 100 this year.